It was back in 2020 as the riots were wrecking cities all across our country, including Washington, D.C., that the mayor of the nation's capital, Muriel Bowser, okayed the painting of a gigantic, ugly mural on the ground right in front of the White House designed to be an endorsement of the riots and a middle finger to President Trump at the time, and call the area Black Lives Matter Plaza. So D.C. residents and visitors and workers, they lost access to that portion of 16th Street right in front of the White House. It got shut down entirely and now has a perpetual, gigantic, ugly mural on it, a symbol of destruction, not of unity. And in fact, by the fall of 2021, the district spent an additional $5 million to make it permanent. That's how little they think of you. And so is it possible that we could get the city back as we try and get America back to greatness? Perhaps we could get the city back to some of its greatness. Joining me now to discuss that is Congressman Andrew Clyde. He represents Georgia's 9th Congressional District. He's a member of the House Appropriations Committee and the Freedom Caucus, and this is an issue that he very much cares about, as he should. Congressman Clyde, good to talk to you today, sir.
Well, good afternoon, Vince. Great to be with you. Thank you.
So let's start there. Right in front of the White House is a gigantic political display designed to endorse some of the destruction of the city and definitely to try and be a middle finger to President Trump. Can we do something about that?
Well, that's actually a very good way to describe it, okay? President Trump said that he planned on cleaning up the city if he got reelected, and he got reelected in a major landslide, and so we're going to help him do exactly that. Yes, when you see that mural, that plaza, Black Lives Matter, really that means defund the police. I mean, that's what it is. That's what the city of Washington, D.C. was all about. That's why we led a Congressional Review Act in January of 23 to take down the City Council's revised Criminal Code Act, which really eliminated all mandatory minimum sentences for violent crime. I mean, you're just asking for the city to go into, a massive crime spree even greater than it is right now. Mm-hmm. So this is something that has to be dealt with, and we plan on dealing with it, helping the president deal with it through the appropriations process. It is an eyesore to have this Black Lives Matter plaza within the city. This city is for all Americans, and that is not a message of unity for America.
Yes, and it's also a lie. They wrote Black Lives Matter on the ground, and black lives ended up being destroyed in higher quantities after that mural was painted.
Yeah, you got a great point there. I mean, so we're going to have to figure out a way to make sure that Muriel Bowser doesn't spend another $5 million on that plaza to maintain it, because it needs to be absolutely removed, and the citizens need their street back.
Yeah, they definitely do. What about the rest of the city? Obviously, right now the local government tries to run things, but as you may have noticed, hasn't been doing a great job of that. Should Congress reassert control over the nation's capital?
Oh, absolutely they should. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 says that Congress has exclusive legislative authority over the federal city. I mean, that means that Congress is in charge. This city is not just for the people who live here. This city was designed by our founding fathers for all of America, which is why they put Congress in charge legislatively of everything that goes on within the city of Washington, D.C. It is a federal city. Tax dollars from everywhere, from the entire country, fund this city. So we have an issue with how they run it, and so we're going to fix that as well. And when Congress passed the Home Rule Act in 1973 and gave more autonomy to the city, they reserved the right, Congress did, to strike down any law that the city passed. But they did it in kind of a backwards way, and we're going to fix that. Basically, when the city passed a law, then Congress had the right to reverse that and to void that law. Well, I think the way it should have been done is the city has the right to pass the law, but then Congress has to approve that law. So not Congress disapproving what the city approves, but Congress approving what the city does in order for it to become law. So I think that's the way that it should be done. And we're working on a piece of legislation to improve the Home Rule Act of 1973 and basically bring it back to the basis of the Constitution, what our founding fathers had envisioned.
So, in other words, if D.C. passes a law and Congress doesn't do anything, and the time lapses, it becomes law. And what you're saying is you want to change that structure so that when D.C. passes a law, that Congress has to proactively approve it, and that's the only way that it can actually become law in the nation's capital. Is that right?
That's correct. That's exactly correct.
Okay.
So what you're not doing is you're not handcuffing Congress to a certain time frame where they have only this amount of time to disapprove something.
Yes.
Because Congress has a lot of important things to do, and dealing with an out of control city. Yes, it's important that we deal with that, but we have to deal with the entire nation.
Yeah.
So therefore, if we believe the law is right, then we'll make time to approve it.
All right, so Congressman Clyde, here's one wrinkle potentially in your plan, and I'm fully supportive of it. I hope it works. I've noticed that members of Congress broadly they like to avoid problems because they don't want to be blamed for them. In other words, there's going to be a lot of members of Congress who don't want to take an active role in helping fix D.C. They don't want to vote on whether various pieces of legislation in D.C. become law because the last thing they want to do is actually solve real problems. Especially problems that are complex and sometimes difficult to actually get a resolution to. Do you anticipate that being an issue as you pursue this?
Well, that's not why I came to Congress. I came to Congress to fix issues.
Yes.
I came to Congress to do the hard work, make the hard decisions, and rescue our country from the woke agenda that is being forced upon us. And there might be others that don't want to take that path and don't want to take those hard votes, but we're getting paid to do that. That's why we are here. That's why we are representatives of the people. And therefore, that is necessary for us to do. If we are going to truly protect our nation and give our the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren that come after us the same liberty or more liberty that we've had, that we currently have, that our fathers gave us.
So you're not calling for getting rid of D.C. Home Rule. You're calling for reforming it to make it so that Congress has to play a role in every law.
That is correct.
Okay.
I want, they have an argument where they say, hey, we want to vote on legislation that deals with us, that covers us. And I get that, and I understand that, but the Constitution is very clear. If they don't want to live in D.C., they don't have to. That's their prerogative. But the Constitution is clear that Congress has exclusive legislative authority over the city of Washington, D.C. It's federal tax dollars, and it's federal representatives.
Do you, Congressman Clyde, anticipate support from your caucus for your efforts? Will Speaker Johnson support you in this?
I think there's broad support in our conference for this kind of reform. I truly do. And I know President Trump, as he has said, he wants to clean up the city, and this is I think part of what needs to be done. I mean, the city of Washington, D.C. has had problem after problem after problem over the last, 40 years or so, 40 plus years that they have had home rule, 50 years actually. So it's just been difficult for them. And I think it's very important that Congress stay engaged to ensure that the city is safe for not just the people who live here, but for all the constituents that come in from our districts that want to see the city of Washington, D.C., that want to see their capital and come visit their representative at the seat of government.
And what about President Trump? Obviously, you point out that he wants to clean up the city. Do you get the sense that he would be supportive of your effort?
Oh, I think he probably would. I haven't spoken to him directly, so I can't speak for him. Yeah. But I think he would. I think there's many, many ways we can clean up this city, and I think we're going to try all of them.
I love that. And then finally, as I started, the Black Lives Matter Plaza thing, if even if you don't get a major reform to D.C. home rule, and let's not, I don't want to downplay it at all, but I hope you can do that. But even if you don't get that, I do feel like you could accrue enough energy to get 16th Street back open. Do you think other members of Congress will jump all over that with you?
I'm an eternal optimist. I believe that's something that we can do and get 16th Street back open because it's an eyesore to this community. It's an eyesore for America, and it needs to go away. And we need to stop spending money on maintaining it. We need to take it down. We need to pave over it. and it needs to go into the ash heap of history.
Yeah. And if you don't like President Trump, go protest him in the city. You're allowed to do that. But U.S. taxpayer dollars should not be used to paint giant anti-Trump murals on the ground in front of the White House. I think that's an obvious point. I hope it is.
That's true. And Black Lives Matter, I mean, they have a very much a hard left, Marxist agenda. And that's not what we in America are about.
That's
not
exactly
what our Constitution is.
Yeah, it was a giant con job, and the mayor of D.C. played into it, and all that money was stolen and then used on mansions in places like Canada and not for actually helping black people at all. The whole thing is absolutely disgraceful. I am wishing you the best of luck in tackling it, Congressman Andrew Clyde. Thank you so much for your time today, sir.